I think there were some real standout areas that were focused on, particularly around um, the financial goals of not actually having a number that you're looking for. So, you know, there are loads of ways that you can get ambition of what you're trying to drive through with a sale, with what you're trying to do in sales. So what I'm going to talk today about, as I say, is some of those ideas around the financial goals that you can think about, what other things you can think about that contribute to making those financial goals, and then also kind of similar to Joe, just going to give you some tips that I've learned along the way through my sales career. So if I think about what Johnny talked about, coming back to that whole looking for ambition, looking for things outside of just financial goals, outside of just I want to earn over 100k, I want to earn over 150k. For me, it was always about not earning the money, but what having that money can lead to. And that's all about kind of what James talked about, the wellness that you can have. So I always had in my mind that I wanted to be able to walk into a store, for example, and purchase something without looking at the receipt. I want to be able to take some friends or partners out for dinner and not have to look at what the price tag was, what the paycheck was, so that I can have that mental well-being. And sales has allowed me to do that. But I think the thing that helps lead to that is while you're setting those targets of what are my ambitions, what do I want to achieve through financial means, there's also other targets that you can set within the sales that you're doing. So for me, for example, it's things like my customer engagement. So I want to be able to take a customer and I want to take that customer and I want to make them really successful. I want to be up on stage with them. I want to be talking through with them. How have we achieved all these successes together? What have we done for that organization to make them successful? I want to be seen as the guy that's the most successful of what I'm doing. And by having those kind of goals as well that are going beyond the financial goals, that actually helps me lead into, okay, how am I going to get my targets? Because everyone who's in sales wants to earn money, but it's the things around it that help you get to that final goal. As Johnny said, it's not, you're not going to be in a case of, okay, I want to earn 100k this year, 150k next year, 155, 160, whatever k the year after. Because if you do that, I'm telling you, you will not have quite the results you're looking for because you don't have quite the motivation to get there. So you need to have some things around that to help you drive that motivation. It sounds like kind of corny, but I hate losing more than I like winning. Winning's fine. I absolutely hate it if I lose a deal or if something goes wrong and it's something that I could have done something about. So by having those focus areas, that means they help me achieve those financial goals that I'm looking for. That's really what I would say as a kind of piece of advice to everybody. Don't just focus on, to Johnny's point, having the number that you want to hit. Focus on what is surrounding that. Why do you want to have that like amount of money? If you, why do you want to achieve that amount of money? And what are the things surrounding that that you can do as part of your sales career, as part of your journey, that mean that you achieve those results. Second part that I wanted to just share with everyone on the call is around what's the mindset shift and what are the things that you can be doing to try and help you become better in your sales career. So I've done 4 years of kind of sales with a Mulesoft. Before that, I was an SDR for 2 years. And anyone that's made that transition from SDR to AE recently knows that that's probably one of the hardest transitions that you're ever going to make. Going from trying to outbound, people to get a meeting to, okay, how are we actually going to close business is a very difficult thing because you're trying to learn all of these different tools, different ways to work, and essentially you're moving from the which is a hard job of getting people on the phone to talk, through to the complexity of actually trying to close deals and make these organizations that you're working with successful. So some of the things that I think about, particularly when I was making that move, and things I've learned looking back on it, are things like, don't be, and it kind of echoes what Joe said, don't be afraid to be very direct with the companies that you're talking, or the people that you're talking with. I spent a lot of time when I was going through the initial year of being an AE, working with prospects and organizations that I probably shouldn't have done, wasting a lot of time on these things where I knew that if I just asked some pretty pointed, candid questions, or even called out, "Hey, are we actually going to do something here? Is this the right time to be engaging?" Um, that wasn't what I should have been doing, or that sorry wasn't the right frame of mind that I was in, because I come from a position, particularly as an SDR, where you're looking to qualify things in. You're looking for, how do I get this person to have a conversation with me? How do I get to pass that through to my the AE that I'm working with? When you make that move, you need to be thinking about, okay, how do I go from a qualifying in persona to a qualifying out persona? Because you only have a finite amount of time as an AE to be working on things. And if you're anything like the accounts that I work on, like the solutions that I sell, every deal can take a long time, and there's loads of hurdles to go through. So what you don't want to be doing is spending loads of time working on one account that actually you could have looked at previously and gone, actually, this isn't right for me. There's something not quite right about the people that I'm talking to. Maybe it's the wrong solution, it's the wrong fit. So don't be afraid to call some of that stuff out early on, because that will really help you understand, is this the right thing for me? Is this the right prospect I should be spending time with, or can I be moving on to other areas? Second point that I think is something that, again, I spent way too much time on, is kind of being it's kind of in the same vein, but it's being hooked onto an opportunity because I don't have the courage to let it go. Maybe it's, I get on really well with the prospect. Maybe it's the I think there's a really good use case here, but there's always a couple of red flags going on in the back of my mind that I'm ignoring, because I want this deal to go well. And I've seen myself and lots of other A's really struggle with this, to let go of something when actually it should be an account, it should be a prospect that you just walk away from. So I guess that's my point number two. Don't be afraid, to try and walk away if you can from deals, particularly if there is something about it that you think it shouldn't be a prospect you're working on. And I guess my final point that I'm gonna kind of talk through here is, it's almost around the complexity of, as you're moving through the deal. So as you move from um, the commercial to the enterprise to the strategic organizations, when you're in that commercial patch, you can be a lot more ruthless. You'll have a lot more time to spend going through the different prospects that you're working with, the different accounts you're working with. You've got more ability and more time to be a bit more ruthless about who am I going to spend the time with. But when you become, more of the enterprise or strategic area, you will find you have organizations that you work with and people that you work with inside those organizations that you have to spend more time with, and you have to work with, and you have to take more time building up those relationships, because they might not pan out this year, but next year maybe they will, the year after maybe they'll do something better. I hope that's helpful. The coming back to the advice that I would give, particularly if I was starting out, or I was moving from an SDR to an AE role, really think about, what are those motivations that you have beyond the financial ones. What are the things that are going to motivate you to be successful, that are going to get you to those financial goals, that surround your financial goals? And then when it comes to actually tips, ideas around being an A, don't be afraid to qualify out. Don't be afraid to walk away when you have to. Don't be afraid to have frank conversations with your prospects, and once you've earned the right to have those conversations, don't be afraid to have them. And really think about relationship building as you move through the ranks, as you go through enterprise into strategic. It's really about, how do you build those relationships, those long-term relationships that maybe don't pan off now, but pan off later. And hopefully that gives you guys some tips and ideas around, what's made me successful and what can help with everybody else.